Hello, my name is Charlene White, and I want to congratulate you for showing an interest in improving the customer service experience in your orthodontic practice. When you think about exceptional customer service, what companies come to mind for you? I always think about Disney World, Nordstrom's, and the Ritz-Carlton, just to name a few. These are great companies in America who are known for their outstanding customer service. Companies who base their philosophy and their purpose on having excellent customer service typically do well in any economy. The American people are always returning to places that offer exceptional customer service. The reason for that is people make buying decisions based upon how they feel. When you go to a place of business that has established exceptional customer service, the customer experiences good feelings. Customer service skills so often come from home. As all children do, I look back and see so many lessons that my mother taught me, which at the time seemed so unimportant. Growing up in the South, it was always a tradition to have dessert on the weekends, especially if company was coming over. My mother always insisted we make our company feel welcomed and very special. I now understand why they always got the biggest piece of pie. I remember asking my mother during the week, "Mom, what's for dessert?" She would say, "You kiss me and I'll kiss you." So her customer service lesson to me was to treat our customers as if they were very special company in your home. Now, many people don't have the good fortune to grow up in a home that sets those kinds of examples. So for these people, customer service skills have to be learned. And the good news is they can be learned. So let's spend some time together now learning how to present excellent customer service in your practice. Recently, in my hometown of Norfolk, Virginia, they opened a new Nordstrom's in our beautiful downtown mall. It is one of my favorite places to shop. I love it because when you walk in, you hear the piano music playing. The lighting is wonderful, and aesthetically, it is a beautiful place. Every employee that you meet has been trained to deliver exceptional customer service. When I leave Nordstrom's, I leave with good feelings. The environment is exceptional and the employees go the extra mile to make sure your needs are being met. What drives us in life is the desire to gain pleasure or to avoid pain. Companies that establish exceptional customer service create an atmosphere where you feel that sense of pleasure surrounding you. Currently, Southwest Airlines is rapidly gaining market share. Their #1 goal is for their employees to have fun at work. The flight attendants are fun and upbeat, and you feel their enthusiasm when you board the plane. I boarded a very delayed flight recently. We boarded at 11:30 p.m. and were scheduled to arrive very late. The passengers were frustrated and unhappy. Little did we know that we were going to feel great when we stepped off that plane. We had a flight attendant who was so nice and accommodating that we could not help but feel good in the process. My husband was in shock that I was in such a good mood when I arrived home at 1:30 a.m. I have never forgotten the effect her excellent service had on all the passengers that evening. Her smile and her enthusiasm were contagious. She practiced the concept of acting nice even when she probably did not feel like it. In turn, a plane full of unhappy passengers left feeling good because she went the extra mile to make sure we were taken care of. In your handout on page 2 is a list of great customer service ideas. I want you to put down as #1 on that list that you make smiles by giving smiles. Nothing makes a patient or parent feel more at home in an orthodontic office than friendly, smiling faces. Now, I understand that smiling does not come naturally for everyone. Some people actually have to practice, but I have heard that we burn more calories smiling than from frowning, so that should give you some incentive. As we progress through the video, you should be adding notes to your Great Customer Service Ideas page frequently. You may want to take it out of your handout completely. I want you to later go back and review everyone's notes at your next staff meeting. From that, you can form a list of ideas that the team agrees to focus on in the future. I'm sure you have heard this many times before. The greatest sound to a patient or parent is the sound of their own names. It is true. However, it amazes me how often I sit in offices and observe doctors and staff members not using this simple yet powerful customer service tool. It is nowhere more obvious than in the new patient process. I sit in on many exams and observe doctors and new patient coordinators. The ones who use the patient's and parents' names on a regular basis are much more effective in connecting to the new patient and the parent than those who don't. The new patient coordinator should greet the new patient by name and introduce themselves. Then they should introduce themselves to the person who has brought the patient to the office. It is very important that the patient is greeted first. When the doctor enters the exam room, the doctor needs to be introduced and they should greet the patient and parent by their name. During the course of the initial exam discussion, the doctor needs to talk directly to the patient and use their name in the course of the conversation frequently. Quite often, I observe that the doctor is talking about the patient in third party. Don't make this mistake. Parents love to observe the doctor talking directly to their child and using the child's name. I've had clients to call and say that they have significantly increased their case acceptance by making this one change in their new patient process. Train the appointment coordinator, the financial coordinator, and the clinical assistants to introduce themselves. Soon you will see how calling patients and parents by their names creates a whole new feeling in the office. If the staff member is younger than the patient or parent, they should call them by their last name until the patient or parent tells them otherwise. Not many offices have an entire staff who routinely introduces themselves to patients and parents and get that first or last name connection. By making this one change in your office, you will be amazed at the difference of the feeling in your practice. Once the doctor or staff member has established a relationship with the patient, it is important to work on improving your skills and recalling their names. Follow along with me on page 3 in your handout as we discuss some ways to prepare yourself for better name recall. Number 1, write it down. Number 2, spell it. Number 3, repeat it immediately. Number 4, make a remark about the name. Number 5, use it as soon as possible and often in the conversation. Number 6, in your mind, make an association to the name. Logistically, the name should be clearly written on the chart. Some offices actually write it in very large letters so it can be seen across the room. Many offices with imaging have the patient's photograph come up with a computerized chart at the chair side. Another idea is to have the photo printed on the chart with the name, which helps the doctor and staff member associate the patient to the name. As we all know, oftentimes the parents' names are different. When this is the case, that information needs to be clearly written on the chart to make sure that mistakes are not made in addressing the parents who may have a different last name than the child. A fun game that you may want to implement at your staff meetings is to have a slideshow of the new patients who have entered the practice in the past month. See how many names the staff members can guess. Make a little contest out of this and offer a prize to the winners. Remember, there is no sweeter sound to a person than the sound of his or her own name. Make it a priority in your practice to start developing your skills in the area of name recall right away. Now, let's talk about the importance of listening skills. I have heard many times before that the reason God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth is because we should listen twice as much as we talk. This is a major complaint in many orthodontic offices from customers. The staff members spend more time talking to each other than listening to the patients and parents while they're in the office. Research shows that without training and listening, most people do not exceed an efficiency rating of 25% when listening to other people. A 25% listening skill is not enough to build and maintain good human relationships and exceptional customer service. Probably one of the biggest challenges with listening is a lack of concentration. excellent listening skills are learned. They do not necessarily come naturally. Follow along with me now on page 4 as I list some of the behaviors that people who are poor listeners exhibit. They tune out the other person at the beginning of the conversation. They are mentally criticizing the other person's grammar, appearance, or speaking style, which diverts their attention. They spend time getting ready to talk instead of listening to what is being said. They fake paying attention. They try to do something else while they are listening. They give up too soon when they realize they are going to have to do a little bit of work to understand what the customer is saying. They become impatient because the person talking is not getting to the point. They may even lose control of their emotions. They give very little, if any, verbal response. Their body language indicates that they are trying to rush the customer. They may be thinking about the timeline and get agitated because they are concerned about running on schedule. Or they may just find the person boring and have lost interest in what the person is saying. Use this sheet as a little quiz to evaluate your listening skills. It will also help you to determine areas that you need to focus on personally to develop this very important area of customer service. This is also a good form for management to incorporate into the annual evaluation process. The reality is that you are not going to enjoy or like all of the patients and parents in the office. It is easy to listen and to connect to the people that you do like. However, the challenge for the people who deliver exceptional customer service is to be able to connect and tune into the people that you do not make a natural connection with. The people who are the hardest to love need it the most. These are the people who get ignored and are shoved to the side. Many adolescents report that the best experience of their teenage years was in the orthodontic office because they were treated with kindness and not treated differently as they had been at home or at school. It is easy for people to relate and to respond to the popular kids in the practice. However, offices that deliver exceptional customer service treat all the patients the same. I observed an orthodontist just recently talking to a little 8-year-old girl who was in for an observation recall check, and he said he would like to speak with her parent that came with her that day. She quietly responded to him by saying, "I don't live with my parents anymore. My parents got divorced and now I live with my grandmother. She is the one who is with me today." The doctor was very kind and empathetic, patted her on the arm and said, "Well, honey, go get your grandmother because I would like to speak to her for a few minutes." He immediately made a note on her chart about this to make sure that the other staff members were aware of the situation. You could see a sadness in this little girl's countenance. I was sitting there thinking how difficult it must be for her not to be with her parents. Thankfully, she had a loving and supportive grandmother. These are the types of things we need to listen for when patients and parents are talking. You will be amazed when you make it a priority to listen to the people, the things you will pick up on that are important to building future relationships. Before we move on, I want to talk a little more about the customer service aspect of dealing with children. We need to develop customer service skills for the adult community and the adolescent one as well. By the time a child is ready for orthodontics, they have also reached the age where they are observant. Believe me, you leave a lasting impression on them. Make it a goal to treat all the children the same, no matter how popular or unpopular they are. Talk to them on their level. In your workbook on page 7, I have included a list of specific ways you can create a customer service friendly atmosphere for the children and teenagers. I encourage you to pay close attention to this form. Check off what you're already doing and set target dates to implement additional items. Staff members and doctors who are dedicated to exceptional customer service get a sense of satisfaction and reward out of serving other people. When they are at the office, their #1 priority is to focus on how they can serve their patients and parents. People who spend their career thinking this way have phenomenal rewards. Mr. Steve Leonard owns one of the most profitable grocery stores in America. Many stories have been told about his successful store in New England. Mr. Leonard tells a story of how he realized he could keep customers coming back if he would actively listen. He had a regular customer come in one day, early on in his career. She said, "This eggnog I bought here yesterday is spoiled." Mr. Leonard smelled it, tasted it, and looked at the date, which was current, and determined it tasted like fresh eggnog to him. He told the customer he was sorry, but it was not spoiled and he would not refund her 99 cents. She left in a huff, stating that she would never come back. That evening, Mr. Leonard could not get the incident out of his mind. He calculated that the average customer spent $100 in his store per week, 50 weeks a year. His Save a Penny action had cost him $5,000 a year for how many ever years this woman lived in that neighborhood. He changed his philosophy from that day forward. He realized excellent service is a selfless act. So let's talk about what the good listener does in their interaction with others. Follow along with me on page 5. They not only listen to what the patient is saying, but they are listening for their feelings and what is not being said. They listen to the content of the conversation, and they do not get caught up in their appearance or the logistics of what is being said. They listen completely and seek first to understand where the other person is coming from. One of Stephen Covey's 7 habits of highly effective people is that they seek first to understand. They listen for the main ideas and are able to disregard the minor points. They concentrate on the main issues and do not worry about replying to every little detail. They do one thing at a time, and they realize that listening is a full-time job. They maintain eye contact as much as possible. They give feedback and confirmation to the person that they are listening to. They may be experiencing feelings of anger or frustration, but they control it and stay focused on being a professional by listening and seeking first to understand. They invite additional comments by saying things like, "Can you give me an example?" They give reaffirming statements, and they maintain patience and concentration while listening. Spend some time as a team reviewing this list. Discuss your individual strong points in these areas. Again, keep in mind that this is a good form for management to incorporate into the annual evaluation process. Here's another fun idea or contest to have in your office that will encourage the team to develop their listening skills. At the morning huddle, have a contest where everyone enters something unique they discovered about one of the patients or parents the day before. You can have a drawing or vote on the one that you thought was the most unique piece of information. Make it a fun thing. This contest and others like it encourage the team to develop excellent listening skills that will in turn mean excellent customer service in your practice.